I think that the turning point of my life, I would say, was in the year 1996 when I lost my father. That was is a turning point in my life. He was 40 years old when he died mysteriously, and it was painful. It was a painful moment in my life. It was traumatic. It was a painful moment in my family. My mother was in her 30s when my father passed, and we couldn't pay our bills. My siblings were dropping out of school. In those days, I would wake up at the middle of the night, either to study. I was in school then, in the high school, either to study or maybe to use the restroom. And I would hear my mother in her room crying and groaning in pain and in tears. And in the morning, when she wakes up, she wipes away her tears. You wouldn't know she was crying, but I knew. I heard her voice crying. You know, um, it was painful. It was really painful. Some brethren in church were helping us with our bills. Kind people were helping out to help us to survive. And I'm sharing this story with you because I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. I am not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be. I hope you understand what I mean. I am not where I want to be yet. I have vision, I have goals, I have dreams, I have things I want to do in life and in the kingdom. I have ideas on how to help people, especially widows and orphans. I have all those plans. Um, I'm not there yet, but in my own little way, I'm trying to take one step at a time to get to my my vision and to fulfill the dream in my heart. So I just want to share this story with you, and I hope that it encourages you. I hope that this story will inspire you. Um, that that season in our life, in our family, was painful. We are eight children. My father left eight kids behind for my mother, and my siblings were dropping out of school, and I was majorly the person that was asked to go further with my education. So I was going further with my education, and one day it was too much on me, and I began to question God. I began to question God. I was a teenager then, but I was asking God questions. My father, he was the only son of the parents, the only son, and I began to ask God questions. Um, and my uncles were, they're, the typical Nigerian uncles, they were not helping. My uncles were not helping. They were looking for ways to even take advantage of us. So we were left by ourselves in pain and in tears and in trauma. So I was crying one time, and I decided, as a little boy, to write a letter to God. I decided to write a letter to heaven. I think I was maybe 15 years old then. I can't remember, 15 or 16. So I took a pen and a paper, and I began to write a letter to heaven. You know, in my mind, I was posting a letter to heaven. So I wrote it like it was real to me. It was real to me. I told myself, you know what? You're going to write a letter, go to the post office, and post it to heaven. So I wrote in that letter, I told God some things I want him to do for us. I wrote that letter, and I asked him for certain things I wanted him to do for us in our family. I wanted my siblings to be able to go back to school and graduate. I want us to be able to build a house. I want to be able to buy a car for my mother. I want to be able to do certain things. So I wrote that letter, and I went to the post office. A little boy. It's funny, I know. So when I got to the post office in my the community where I stayed back in Nigeria, I told them I want to post a letter to heaven. Um, when I said that, the workers, those working there, they were confused. I can still remember, I can still kind of picture their faces. They looked at each other, two women, they kind of looked at each other and they were surprised. I said, I want to post a letter to heaven. And I was really serious. I was serious. Like God should get my letter. I'm in pains. I'm in pains. Because I remember in those days, before I could pay my school fees, other students already paid their school fees, and I didn't even have money to buy water in school. Like other students were buying water for me to drink in school. And it was so much on me. So I told them I want to post a letter to heaven. They said, okay. It's like one of them, I remember one of the women now looked at me. So, she said, just go to that box. She pointed to the place where people drop their letters. And she said, just go there in that box, in that hole, and drop the letter there. So I went to that hole where people drop their letters. And before I dropped my letter, I paused and I was in tears, and I prayed and I told God, please answer me. I said, Lord, please answer me. I want to hear from you. I want you to do everything that I wrote in this letter. In my mind, to be honest with you, I was posting a letter to heaven, like I was mailing a letter to God. That was it. They didn't put a stamp on it. There was no stamp on it because it's strange to them. Letter to heaven. So I prayed and I dropped my letter and I left. Yesterday during my workout, because I go out every morning, to run, while I was at the park for my workout, I remember, and I was in tears again. I said, Lord, you answered me. You actually answered my prayer. Because everything I wrote in that letter, God answered it. Everything I put down in that letter and I dropped at the post office for God, God answered them. Every one of them. I think it was in that letter that I told God that I want to travel to the United States. I wanted to be an American citizen and take care of my family and do some things for my family. And God answered everything I wrote down in that letter. I want to encourage you. God heard your prayers. The Bible said, we do not have a priest who cannot be touched by the feelings of our infirmities. God understands what you are going through, and God sees your tears. God sees your pain. God knows what you are going through. He understands. There is nothing you are going through at this moment that God doesn't understand. And the last time you prayed, God heard you. Let me tell you something. Sometimes it's either God is working on you to receive the answer to your prayers, or He's working on the answer to your prayers for you to receive the answer. It's either of these two. When you pray, the Bible says, call upon me and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things that you know not. He said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened. God is not deaf. He heard you. The good news for you today is this: God heard you. Now, between the time you prayed and the time the answer comes, God is working on you. He's working on your character. He's working on your personality. He's working on your dreams, your vision. He's getting the right people around you. God, everything about God is timing, divine timing and divine season. So when the time comes, it's going to happen. God heard your prayers. I don't want you to think that when you pray that God doesn't hear you. He hears everything. He saw your tears, the tears of the night. The Bible says a broken and a contrite spirit, a broken heart, God does not despise. He saw your broken spirit. He knows that you lost a loved one. He knows that you lost your job. He knows that you went through a painful breakup. He knows everything that you are going through. He knows that you lost your house. He knows what people are saying about you. But let me tell you something. God is working on the answer. It's either He's working on the answer to your prayers or He's working on you. Because sometimes we ask God for things that we cannot manage. So when we ask God for certain things that we cannot manage, what He does is He begins to work on us. He works on our character. He works on our attitude. So we are able to manage it. So we can have the structure to hold the blessing when it comes. I want to tell you before I end this video, God heard your prayers. He heard you. Every tear you cried, every pain you went through, every mockery that you went through, He saw them and He will answer you and He will come. It took approximately 20 years for God to answer all the prayers, everything I put down on that, the letter that I sent to Him, I mailed to Him, but He answered me. With God, it's timing. Timing is everything with God. Wait. I say again, wait on the Lord. Don't give up. You are not worthless. You are priceless. I love you and God bless you.